Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on what time you'll find yourself watching this video. My name is Lania Awala and I'm the Secretary for Academic Affairs. In line with the Unam Accounting Society's chief mandate, which is to broaden the spectrum of accounting, we are joined by Mr. Ervin Tjipuka, who is the Chief Executive Officer of FNB Namibia. Welcome, Mr. Ervin, and thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay. To dive right into it, you've had quite the journey both academically and professionally. So can you just maybe tell us a bit about the journey that has led to you being here today?
Well, thank you very much. I think it's a long journey. So,
So,
so I graduated from University of Namibia. Very proud of that university. And then obviously because of lack of funding, but also because obviously there was a bit of pressure being the firstborn in the family and first one to graduate from university. So I also needed to work. So I decided to actually start article immediately after my first degree with the hope that I will do CTA part-time. So I joined Deloitte as an article clerk. And then while I was there, I tried to complete my CTA twice. Didn't go well. And then I think after my second attempt, I was very fortunate that the Deloitte leadership at the time, sort of granted me a bursary. And that enabled me to go to UCT to do CTO, what they call PGDA there, full time. And then upon returning, I then needed to complete the 1 year of articles that was left, and then pass the qualifying exam, both the two parts in the same year. And then I stayed on at Deloitte. I became a senior manager, and then after a while, I thought it was time to do something different. So I joined the FNB group, the first one group now, as they call it. And in the role of group finance manager. And then 2.5 years later, I was promoted to the position of chief financial officer. I did that for about 4.5 years. And then I think, I thought it was time to do something different. Yeah. So I always believe that I don't like staying too long in roles. I think I don't like getting too comfortable. I always want to sort of be challenged in the role that I'm in. But also I think I'm also passionate about sort of development of people, and succession for me is very key. And I think also when you are in the role and somebody below you is ready and capable, then obviously you sometimes need to make the moves to allow them to step into the role, which is what happened in this case. So my sort of senior manager finance at the time then took over from me as CFO. So I was fortunate again because I think I always wanted to be a partner at Deloitte. So when I left, it was again one of those times when you just needed a bit of a change and a break. Although once I've joined the bank and I became CFO, I thought, I think I would never do that again. But somehow that opportunity came, and I was admitted as a partner at Deloitte. And then shortly thereafter, I think I was there for a year. Then I was appointed as a country managing partner. And again, after 5 years, I think when I took that role, I told my partners that it's going to be a 5-year journey. And then after 5 years, I then again had an opportunity. I was approached by the First Trend Group to come back to be the CEO of FNB, which is a role that I have now. Also, at the time when I was in the process of being appointed CFO, I decided to do an MBA. So I did an MBA through the Maastricht School of Management in the Netherlands, which was the program run between Unam and Maastricht. So yes, I got that MBA at the time. So yeah, that's really in a nutshell my journey. So I'm here now as the FNB CEO.
Okay, very impressive journey indeed. Now, if you look back at the journey that you've just described, is there perhaps something that you could have done differently, or you feel like you would have done earlier or later in your life based on the journey?
Yeah, so I think when one, because I always in my life I always look back and reflect, because I believe that somebody once said that it's not the experience the best teacher, or but I think it is more around that the ability to evaluate your experience and what you have learned. So I think so when I look back at I don't think that there is really anything that I can say I would do it differently as such, because I think even those things that I thought I did it wrong or it was too late, somehow when you realize that there was a reason why you had to take that journey. But certainly, if I had a choice, I probably would try and do my CTA on a full-time basis right from the beginning. Because I just realized at the time that this trying to do articles and trying to study was just not me. So so that's probably the one thing that I did. But again, even in that, I think there's been a lot of great lessons that I've learned through that experience. So I think that's probably the only thing that I can say. But I mean, there are many things that I could have done differently, but maybe not as important for me to sort of reflect on them or to regret those things. I'm always grateful for all the experiences that I've had, bad or good.
Yeah, it has led to where you are now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, looking back, you grew up at a time where the CA profession was not widely recognized and there were not a lot of black CAs.
Yes.
So, what was the motivation? What led to you studying or taking this route?
Yeah. So I must say that so I was generally I was very good at mathematics when I was sort of in school. And so I think when I got to the sort of a time when I needed to now sort of choose subject for high school, so I also sort of went at that age already. I went through to the library and I started reading about the different professions, and so I came across this accounting profession. And for me at the time, it was just it's a profession about numbers, And since I was very good at mathematics, I thought, wow, it is something that I might like. So then I chose accounting at high school. And I always tell people that it's accounting in Afrikaans is rekenmeester. So now in the I'm from Tsume, by the way. So in that community, I think almost like everybody who was important was called a meester, a teacher, bankmeester or postmeester, So I guess to some extent that also appealed with me, to meet with me. Yeah. So, but then the other thing also, once I started, investigating, and when I realized there were no black people who were CAs, at the time, it almost like it motivated me, because I've always seen myself as sort of a barrier breaker, and I always wanted to do something that others have never done before. So, and I think that to some extent was also partly the thing that motivated me to sort of pursue this career.
Okay. I remember you saying that education is the greatest equalizer, advice that you received very early on in your life from your grandmother.
Yeah.
What other major piece of advice would you say has had an impact on your life?
Yeah. So many. I'm a product of mentors. I'm a product of people that invested in my life. So there's many. But I think there's at the time when I sort of was going through a phase in my life, especially after having failed sort of CTA twice. I read this book by John Maxwell. The title is "Be All You Can Be," and in that book there was a specific statement that he made, that in life there is always a price to pay. So you either pay the price now and sort of have it comfortable later, or you can have it comfortable today and pay the price later. So, and I think to me, it's when I realized that one always had to put the efforts today. So for you to be able to reap the rewards, in later. Rather than trying to reap the rewards now, and then you realize later that actually that I need to pay the price when it's sometimes too late. So that's why I normally put the effort and the sort of focus on today and make sure that what needs to get done. So when I needed to and I think a good example is at the time when we decided to become CAs, a couple of us at the time, it was a time when obviously also jobs outside of the profession, if doing article was really the salary was not that that attractive. So we could easily have gotten jobs outside and get with better pay, especially when you had the pressure of being firstborn and all those things. But I guess we had to pay the price. And also, I think shortly after finishing articles, I think the time very few black chartered accountants. So you can imagine the market was sort of looking for black CAs. And they were offering us, sort of salaries that were sometimes, double than the salaries that were being paid at the audit firm. But I think to me it was more about that I need to make the investment in terms of that growth that is required for you to become a solid professional, as opposed to being too quick to leave simply because of money. But so I think the more you invest in yourself, the more you realize actually that you become a solid professional, and I think the rest, it comes naturally, because you have made the right decision right from the beginning.
Okay. Having given us a bit of a background of your life story, what would you say is your purpose in life, and are you living or working in line with this?
Yes, thank you. It's an important question. So yes, so my purpose in life, I always see myself as somebody who's here on earth to inspire, to motivate, and to mentor people to become a better version of themselves. And for that reason, I think a leadership role like the one I'm in now, I think it really is a perfect opportunity for me to be able to do that on a daily basis. As I interact with staff, as I interact with clients, as I interact with regulators, etc. It's my purpose that in every conversation that I leave the person inspired and in a better sort of shape than they were. So yeah. So definitely, I think I'm living my purpose.
Okay. So, not to put your weaknesses out there, but what is a development area that you had to work on in order to excel in this profession?
Well, there's so many.
To
To mention a few. Yeah. So I think there are perhaps a number of those, because I think we all have weaknesses that we have to overcome all the time. That's why growth is there. But I think the one, I guess, it's also, especially at the time when I started articles. So you started article with people that were already at CTA, and then they passed their board exams. So you feel like you almost like behind, and that and especially when I failed, the first time, and then the second time again. So I think you felt there was probably a bit of lack of confidence, and I knew that for me to progress in life, I had to overcome that, because I think lack of confidence is one of the things that sort of keep you behind from achieving your full potential. And I guess when I subsequently also passed my CTA and qualified, obviously it also again boosted my confidence back and so on. But it wasn't sort of an easy thing. One had to actually pull yourself up and say, "Look, I'm good," So good, yeah.
Earlier on in the conversation, you mentioned that you don't like being comfortable in a setting, and you constantly like being challenged. Now, being CEO of a big corporate company like this, what is the next step for you? What are you looking for in order to challenge yourself professionally?
Okay.
Yes, professionally.
Well, I guess it's for me to take an early retirement. No. So again, as I said, I really don't. So as I say, 5 years, 7 year, whatever that is, it also depends on circumstances. So, and I don't really. For me, it's not about titles and status and those things. It's about making a difference. And fulfilling my purpose. So, and that could be, it could be that I stay here longer, or it could be that I leave and then start my own business, or it's possible. You never know. Maybe I could become a politician.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So no, I think it's I don't really have any specific plan right now. I'm here. My focus is to do what I need to do here to the best of my ability, and hopefully when I leave this banking group in a much better shape than I found it, because that's the role of a leader.
Having worked both in an audit firm and now you're working for a corporate company, comparing the experience, I know it's different positions, but comparing the experience, which one of the two gave you the most exposure and why do you say that?
So I think both. So I think definitely my audit profession, especially the articles here, really gave me the necessary foundation that sort of propelled me in my career. So I'm very grateful for that. That was a worthwhile investment. But I think equally also having been, because I think obviously in an audit environment, especially when you're doing the auditing, etc., it's very much technical and um, when actually when you're on this side you get to see the practical part of life. So I think the combination of those two skills, of those two experiences, for me, I believe that has made me a well-rounded professional that I believe I am today.
I definitely believe something that's not widely spoken about is soft skills. So, what do you think are some of the soft skills that are needed in order to excel or to prosper in this type of profession?
Yeah. So no, definitely, I think soft skills are becoming more and more important. And especially with the fourth industrial revolution, with a number of functions and skills previously done by humans that are now done by machines. So I think soft skills are becoming more and more important. So I think definitely, I think the ability to be able to communicate with people. I always tell people that I've said it before, that I think one of the things that the accounting profession don't focus on is this aspect of communication. And because I think it's really, once you start dealing with clients, it's that communication skill is important. But I was also think, just generally, the ability to sort of build relationship is becoming more important, because previously, I guess, you could become a technical expert and sit in your corner there, etc. But now we require more and more to interact as human beings, and so I guess the ability to build those relationships is important. And then I mean all kinds of really skills that are required, that too many to mention. Critical thinking, to especially its ability to apply solid judgment. Especially because again, number of stuff are automated, and now what is required from a human skill, of a human being, is actually to apply judgment, because machines cannot apply, can necessarily do that. Yeah, so I think that for me would be some of the skills that I think are important, but definitely communication skill and the ability to build relationship with, yeah, it's very important.
Okay, having worked in corporate and definitely climbed up the corporate ladder, what would you say is your greatest career achievement?
Well, I think I would like to think that I've got a few of those. I mean, great achievements. I think just becoming a CA, especially as I told you earlier, in the time that when I obviously decided to become a CA, it was a time when there were no mentors, there were no role models. So, obviously, subsequently, we saw others becoming CAs, and that those became our role models. But at the time, they were not. So I think that already becoming a CA was a great achievement for me. And then I think becoming the CFO of the largest commercial bank in the country at the age of 33, for me was also one of those achievements. And then a partner at Deloitte. I said I always wanted to be a partner at Deloitte, and a partner at a Big Four firm, and then subsequently I became the managing partner. So and then obviously the role that I'm in now, the CEO role of FNB CEO role. So again, those I'm proud of those achievements.
Okay. Now, looking into the future, do you think artificial intelligence will have an impact on accounting, and should it be something learners that want to pursue the accounting profession should be worried about?
Yeah, no, I definitely think that artificial intelligence, or the whole technology changes and so on, will have impact on not only the accounting career, but many careers out there. Yeah. So, but again, I always tell people that at least not in the near future. I don't think that it sort of replace accountants, right? But I think what it does is that currently the role of an accountant, there is the almost like the routine type of work, that processing transactions, journal entries, etc., etc. it's generally the thing that we don't like anyway as accountants, you know.
Yeah,
So
to be honest.
yeah, and those are the things that I believe that, you know, sort of technology will take over through automation and so on. And I think what that does, then it allows the role of an accountant to become one of really sort of value adding, you know. So where you now take the data and the information and analyze that information and sort of, you know, help make the right decision, you know, as opposed to sort of, you know, be, you know, sort of bogged down into the routine type of work. So I don't think that people should be concerned. I think in my mind, I think it's becoming an exciting career, you know, because now you're gonna focus on things that are more exciting, because the routine type of functions of an accountant are becoming automated.
Now, on the topic of exciting, I feel like we're focusing a lot more on the corporate stuff, which is important. But what do you like most about this profession? What is the one thing that you probably picked up from this profession that is not academic related per se?
Yeah, look, I think yeah, the I think the profession itself, just by the nature, and especially that if you go the CA route, it's really it's a profession where you get to sort of deal with different people. You get to understand almost different sectors, different industry. So I think from our perspective, it really it's rewarding because I think you built a very good network throughout your career. So I think generally I think it's it's a career that is sort of well respected, you know. So also the fact that also I think that the CA career or profession actually prepares you to actually you almost can do so many things. I mean, I'm a chartered accountant today. I'm a CEO, and you find others that are doing all kinds of sort of jobs today, and that is because of that foundation that the sort of the accounting profession creates for you, especially when you've done article.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people consider you a mentor. So, what would your advice be to people that are already in the working industry and also looking to climb up the corporate ladder and one day be where you're at now?
Good, thank you. Now, so first of all, I think we must understand that the corporate ladder is unique for everyone. So we don't climb the same ladder.
Yeah.
That's important to understand that. So it doesn't mean because Ervin is a CEO that you also become a CEO of a bank, you know. So because we are wired differently, and we sort of have different calling in life. Okay, callings in life. Okay. Second thing, I think it's to understand that it's important in this thing called corporate ladder, to focus on where you are at that level of the ladder, as opposed to focusing too much on where you want to be. Because what it does is, what many people forget is that you need to build solid foundation. Because trying to go up too fast without having the necessary foundation, it's the chances are that you could fall because you don't have the stability that is required. So I think it's important for people to ensure that you focus on where you are, because I think the next step almost comes naturally once you have proven yourself and you have a solid foundation, and once you forget to look at the ladder of somebody else but focus on your own ladder. So I think that's my advice to young people.
So, basically, what you're saying is that you feel like success should be custom made. So, you shouldn't, success looks different for other people.
Yes. No, most definitely. Most definitely.
So, just because I'm not
Yeah.
a CEO does not mean I'm not successful in life.
Not at all. Yes. Yeah.
Now, having focused on people that I
In the work industry, what would your advice be to students that want to embark on this journey? I mean, learners that want to embark on this journey, as well as students that are currently on this journey and want to pursue.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think to the students, my advice is always that, you see, nothing in life will come, on on a plate, on a silver plate. So it requires the hard work, dedication, and commitment from you. So I think my advice is that stay focused, put in the necessary, as I said earlier, there's always a price to pay in life. So if you want a qualification, and certainly this qualification called, the CA qualification, it requires you to put in the efforts and the hard work that is required to do so.
Okay. Just one last question. You've been quoting John Maxwell, so I just want to ask if it's maybe your favorite author from all the books that you've read. Is he your favorite author?
Definitely, yes. He's definitely my favorite author. Yeah. Just like his the way he unpacked the aspect of leadership and so on. Yeah.
But have you read each book only once, or do you sometimes go back to books and just remind yourself of what the message is from all the books? Or
yeah, no, I'd never throw away books. so I normally keep the books, and from time to time I always had to go back and typically that's why I don't like reading books on the Kindle or I like hardcover because I can underline nicely and I can write notes there. So typically, then when I want to go back to the book, I normally go where I've made the notes, and as a reminder. Yeah.
thank you so much for your time, Mr. Ervin. This was definitely insightful, and I'm quite sure our viewers have learned a lot, because I have quite learned a lot.
It was definitely a pleasure. Thank you.
So that was Mr. Ervin Tjipuka, the Chief Executive Officer of FNB Namibia. Thank you for your time.